Welcome to Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. I'm Aric.
And I'm Angie.
We are married with a crap ton of kids.
So many kids.
6 total.
I have 3 and he has 3.
Our show is about our blended, blessed, and always a mess life.
And our hope is that if you're listening and you find yourself in the same situation, that by sharing our story, all the fun, the mess, the challenges we experience every day, it'll give you some sort of inspiration.
Maybe some laughs, maybe community, maybe knowing you're not alone in the mess. And again, like everything that we do is not always perfect, but it's kind of the things that work for us and also the things that sometimes do not work for our family.
And I will tell you that today won't be perfect. You know why? Because I don't have this all written out today. We are winging it. But
we're doing it my
style. Aric style. So you guys let us know which way you prefer. But today we have a guest.
We do. We have a child.
A child is here.
One of the crew is joining us today for Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. We talk about all of them, but my oldest and our second oldest, Lexi, who is 19, is with us today. And this is not your first time in front of a microphone, luckily.
No, I'm a professional.
I have had Lexi in front of a microphone since she was a young child, and she's always done well with it. And one of those things where we joke all the time. I've been on a radio station in mid-Missouri for years called Clear 99, and she is the Clear 99 baby. She was born on the radio station. She was the first adult on the radio station at 18, and now she's 19. And so this is not your first go around, and look forward to hearing what you want to talk about today. Now, as we do the podcast, people will ask us all the time, what do your kids think? And so I guess I would just say, what do you think of our podcast, and what parts of it are you enjoying and maybe think could be better? That's the scary question. Scary question.
I like the podcast. I think my boyfriend and I like the podcast. We like to listen to it together. I think it's funny because looking back on the stories that you guys both tell, it's been a few years for some of the stories, so it's fun to look back and see those, but it also is just good to hear the advice for the future. So I do like it.
I think Aric and I have talked about it too, like if no one listens to the podcast, at least we're documenting all of this for the kids.
Someday they'll have it to look back on, for sure. You know, Lexi, I think about when you're my oldest. And so when I even think about to the youngest times when you were a kindergartner, and your teachers would say all the time, as a kindergartner, she is the mother hen of the classroom.
What? No.
That has carried over even as I think that is a really big thing that happened when Angie came along, is that for the first time in your life at 16, 17 years old, you didn't have to be the mother of our family, right? And that didn't mean that, you know, when your mom and I got divorced, you were 4.
Right.
As we got older, you were in kindergarten then, and then I got remarried. You took care of your little brother Carter and then Dane a lot, and then got divorced again, and you were very motherly.
I was.
And I would just say, to everybody listening, I'm so sorry about that. I feel like Angie and I talk about that a lot. Like, I feel a lot of guilt for the fact that you had to grow up faster than you should have. You were overly motherly in some regards. And so what was that like for you? And then when Angie came along, I know there were conversations that she had with you that you didn't have to do that anymore. So can you just talk a little bit about what that was like?
I don't regret being the mother hen. I mean, I'm still a mother hen.
Yeah, to your boyfriend.
Hey.
You are.
Anyways.
I feel like you've traded it. You're like, oh, great, I don't have to do that. Boyfriend, I'm your mother. Here we go.
Sorry if you're listening to this, Carson. Anyways.
Not healthy, Carson. Stand up. All right, sorry.
Anyways, I didn't... Taking care of my brothers, I mean, I've always had a close relationship with them because of that. So, I mean, I don't really dread or regret that in any means. But when... I call her Nancy, but I mean, it's Angie. When Nancy came around...
I don't know that we've talked about why that is.
We need to talk about that.
Oh,
That's
gosh.
another podcast.
Well, get up on the microphone.
Okay, we probably should tell the story
we have 2
real
microphones,
quick
yeah.
about why the kids call me Nancy. So it was actually probably during COVID. Aric and I were watching a
Step
movie.
Brothers.
We were just watching Step
Brothers.
Brothers. And, that movie's hilarious. But as the movie progressed, it was like we looked at each other and we're like, oh my God, that's our family. What in the hell?
Chase
and
Dane were Dale and Brennan.
Yes, and we've talked, on here about our parenting styles are a little bit different. I'm like, I could see myself in that Nancy role
She was
of
Nancy.
like, oh my God, they burnt down the house, but they were teamwork. They
lit the match together, so it was fine. Good job, boys. And I'm like, oh my God, you've ruined our dreams. Oh. So then we showed the kids, and they were all immediately like...
They recognized it as well. And so, even Chase and Dane, when we're at ball games, they'll, root each other on as Brennan and Dale. And my name literally in this house is Nancy.
Yeah, so Lexi calls Angie Nancy.
I don't call her anything but Angie, really.
Nancy.
So, I scream across the house, Nancy! Nance!
Yeah.
That's really...
And I answer.
So...
And I'm Doback. I even got a coffee mug for Father's Day that said Doback on it because of my parenting style.
So in this podcast, I will refer to her as Nancy, very rarely Angie. So back to our topic. When Angie came around, she informed me that I needed to get out and do more things.
Teenage things.
Instead of staying home all the time with my brothers. And so that's why I definitely would not have started dating without Angie.
We do make it sound like I was a terrible father.
He wasn't. I just was kind of scared of dating when there's only a dad in the house because he obviously puts the fear of God into you.
You're welcome.
And so Nancy definitely sparked my dating interest. Definitely would not have a boyfriend without Nancy.
You know what?
Is that good or bad?
That's what I'm wondering right now. Let's figure this out.
But she really just made it to where I knew that I needed to be a kid more than I was.
Yeah, we've talked about that a lot, is that Angie allowed you to finally be a teenager and to grow up at a pace that you're supposed to, rather than over-exaggerating as a young mom that you shouldn't have been.
So, funny story, I actually didn't own any makeup until Angie came around.
Are you kidding me? I didn't even know this.
So
right now, I didn't know this.
He doesn't really want to know this story.
So, I decided I was going to... I maybe a little, but just some Walmart, Target stuff. So, when I decided I was going to Mizzou, Angie's like... we were getting ready for church one morning, and I was like, hey, do you have any makeup I can borrow? And she was like, you don't have any? And I was like, no, not really. It's kind of old. And so she was like, okay. So that night we went to Ulta. What Dad thinks was $50. We'll just keep it at $50 is what we spent. But Nancy bought me some makeup that night.
Well, and this I will say, maybe double that, triple that. I don't know. But what I would say is this goes back to what Aric and I decided at the very beginning, is that if we are going to blend our families, we're going to do it and it's going to be fair.
And all the kids are going to be equal.
All the kids are going to be equal. And so here's Lexi at 16, 17, when Summer was 10 or 11, and literally Summer had more makeup than what Lexi did. And so we went to Ulta and I bought her.
Oh my God, you guys are just telling me this.
You definitely know that we went to Ulta.
I didn't know that you had no makeup and that this happened until right now.
Yeah, and so it was actually... There's more to that
The
story.
lady at the store thought I was 12.
Don't you remember that?
Well, we were talking about... She was like, oh, were you hungover? And I was like, or no, something about drinking. I don't even remember. And she thought I was super... But then she was like, are you 12?
Well, it's because Lexi's short. She's 5'2".
I am. I'm really short. But she thought I was 12 years old, and I was 17.
Well, and so Summer was with us, too. And so Summer literally is the one okay, here's your makeup. This is what you need. This, and this. So Summer's helping us pick it out. And I think she thought you guys were, friends, so the same age. Anyway, we bought her makeup. We have her taken care of.
I feel awful. I am so
But that stuff a guy's not going to know.
How would I didn't know that.
Right.
Oh my
it's
God.
Okay.
I'm so
Grace.
sorry.
Give yourself grace.
Oh.
I think for me, though, I've never been a stepmom, so I have no idea, like, what I was getting into in some aspects. But quickly, whenever we started hanging out more, I recognized that aspect in Lexi, that she's, like, uber responsible, especially when I had a daughter this similar age, and I could see this, like, complete difference in level of responsibility. But I recognize it in Lexi because I came from a big family and I was the oldest girl. And so there's like this huge sense of responsibility of taking care of the younger kids, but hers was probably multiplied by a lot. So yeah, we did have conversations of like, you know what, you can just be a kid. I got you. I'm here. You like go have fun. Maybe go to prom.
Nancy forced me to go to prom. She forced me to go to prom.
You had a good time.
It was fine.
When this podcast is over, you guys are going to find me in a corner in a ball somewhere. Just awful father is what I feel like
We're
right
not
now.
saying it. You're a great dad.
Ugh.
I tell people that all the time. I have a great dad.
Ugh.
Well, and the thing too, a lot of you learn through the hard stuff. Like I feel like Lexi's going to be super resilient, right? Because she's went through hard stuff. We're all going to go through hard stuff. It's either when it happens, it's when you're younger or when you're older. Like you're all going to experience loss and challenges, and it's all about building that tool belt to help you get through it. So it's life. Could be good, could be bad.
Could be good, could be bad. We keep going back to that. That's the new theme. Lexi, what would you say, since you have met Angie and all the kids, we become the crew, what do you think was the most challenging part of first coming together before we got married? Because we do say in our house the crew got married.
We did.
Not
like
just
literally,
me and Angie, we all got married.
We got married. The most challenging part was the fact that COVID hit like within the first few months, and so like we literally had no other option. I mean, we could have spent more time away from each other, but we were together quite often because our schedules had aligned when the twins wanted to have the same schedule as we did, which is fine. Like I would say we got along more than we didn't. Mm-hmm. But I mean, Angie lived in a spec home, which is a single slab home, spec home, whatever, slab home. So there's no basement. So there was 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms for the 8 of us. There's 8 of us? Yeah, 8 of us. So that was a lot at times. But Summer and Hallie and I both get along really well. I mean, Chase and I too, but he just likes to game, and that's not really my thing. So I just spent a lot of time with Summer and Hallie, and luckily in Wardsville there wasn't very many like restrictions. It was more when you came to Columbia where you couldn't go anywhere. You were really stuck at home. But like with Hallie, I like went and like hung out with her horse and her and whatnot. But the hardest part was definitely just being cooped up together a lot and having to like figure out what everybody's into and your differences and that kind of stuff.
So what's so interesting that you brought that up is we just recorded a podcast about COVID, and like reflecting back, that really fast tracked our crew blending because we had to spend time together. And we're not sure like if COVID hadn't happened, if that would have happened that quickly. And yeah, it was not unicorns and rainbows. But then there was also like, if you look back now, it's like, wow, that's how we actually all figured each other out.
I wouldn't say it was all, I mean, it wasn't bad. It's just there were times where people would get frustrated with each other and you don't really have anywhere to go. And
well, that's what we talked about, is that luckily at that time, we lived in different homes in different cities. So you'd be like, all right, well, I'm going to take the kids home. And so we would go to Columbia 30 minutes away and it was fine.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, that didn't really last very long. I mean, we always still wanted to be close together. And so
like siblings, like the crew.
So I would say every time we were at the other person's house, we were always together for the most part.
What would you say was your favorite part about becoming part of the crew? Since we've stumbled on the difficult parts, how much have you loved being part of the crew and what that's brought to your life?
Well, it's very interesting because we click so well together, and that doesn't happen very often.
We're very lucky as a blended family.
The boys sometimes have some troubles, I think, just because they're so close in age. And
we're boys.
And they enjoy the same things. But, like, Hallie and Summer and I are, like, very close. Hallie and I are insanely close. We have the same interests. We've recognized that since, like, we first met. Go to the same college. I mean, we'll eventually be, like, live a minute away from each other in apartment complexes. So, I guess... I don't know where I'm going with this, but I guess I would say that was the good part. Is like, sisters. Yeah, we
gaining more sisters.
Gaining
more
siblings. You didn't have a sister.
I did have a sister.
You did have a sister,
but she was way younger. She still is way younger than me by 9 years almost. So,
yeah. But you gained some sisters in this part of your
And the little brother, I never knew I needed another one.
So, I mean, you've got now all these siblings, and we love being a part of this crew, but what would you tell parents like myself and Angie going through divorce? It's hard, and I would just say for us it was hard, but we know that for you it was hard. So what would you ask of parents who are listening and blending families and moving forward? What do you think as a child you would tell them?
You know, I think I could be a divorce counselor, if I'm being honest. Wow. I mean, I'm not, like, registered, but if you ever need anything, just come to me. No, I'm kidding. I think what I would tell parents is that you have to put the kids first. And I'm not saying that my parents didn't do that, because they did. It's just, it still takes a toll on you. Don't let the kids see what's going on outside of your relationship with them.
You mean like outside forces?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Like, don't...
I feel like your mom and I get along well.
Yeah. But just, like, keep the kids first. Sometimes there's awkward encounters, but, like, just do your best to... Like, Angie and her ex-husband do a great job of... I mean, her kids spend birthdays together and everything like that, which I never did, but I think that's something great, that if you can do that, to do that. Some people go to the extent of going on vacation together. I mean, I don't know that I would do that, but...
I don't think we're ever getting there with anybody.
But I mean, if you could do that, good for you. I mean, good for you.
I mean, honestly, that is something I would do.
It would.
I mean, I would, just because I agree. I agree with you, Lexi. Like, you know, we've shared on here, you know, Aric and I we've not been part of a divorced family like when we were younger. You know, we had the traditional family. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I remember whenever I was going through a divorce, my dad telling me, like, you know, your kids are going to be so impacted. Like, you can't put them through that. And so that always is top of mind for me, to make sure that if I can, whatever I can control, you know, to not impact my kids, that's what I'm going to do. And so I do feel like, yeah, we've went above and beyond trying to make sure that the kids don't feel that. And yeah, sometimes that's hard, and it requires bearing a lot of the emotion around just your feelings and putting the kids first. But it's super challenging. And the other thing I will say about that is it takes two. It takes both of you. You know, one can have that mindset, but if the other person doesn't, then it makes it even more difficult.
And I'm not saying going on vacation together is bad, because those families that do that, props to you. Way to go, because not everybody can do that. So the fact that you can is like A+ right there.
Divorce goals.
Yeah, it is.
So what do you think has been the most positive thing that has happened to you since the crew has started and formed and all those good things?
Well, we got married. So we got married in April of 2021. It's 2022.
4-3-2-1.
4-3-2-1.
That's how we did it.
The day after my 18th birthday.
April 3rd, 2021.
It was quite the day. Lots of crying. Lots of crying.
For you.
Hey, other people cried besides me.
Well, you know what I think would be great to talk about? Because I know the wedding will be 14 probably podcasts, because there's so much to talk about. But we should talk about your birthday right before the wedding. Because one thing I think Lexi was concerned about was her birthday was the day before the wedding. And I know she felt like that the wedding might overpower her birthday. And so I'm also big on birthdays.
As we know, you're huge.
And there was no way I was going to let that happen. And so literally the night before the wedding, we had a big birthday party for her at our house to make sure that she felt like she was special and it wasn't overpowered by the wedding.
Never felt like it.
Well, I actually had 18 days leading up to my birthday because it was my 18th birthday. So Nancy had a little gift for me. I had 18 little gifts leading up to my birthday. So that was nice. Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome.
But my birthday is also a big deal to me. I celebrate my birthday week, not necessarily my birthday month, but if I want something, I'm like, oh, it's my birthday month. It's fine. But
Hashtag influence.
yeah, I was nervous. I was like, oh man, 18th birthday is a big deal to most people. And so I was like, oh my gosh, my parents are getting married the day after. They're not going to care about my birthday, but they did a good job. I was I pampered myself and they pampered me because, of course, I got my nails done, got like a spray tan for the wedding, those kind of things. So I was looking fly, if I do say so myself. But
Thank you for pointing it out.
Yeah. We had a birthday party that night. Dad surprised me with some influential people in my life. So that was cool. And then we got married the next day. Easter was the following day. It was a crazy weekend, great weekend. Yes, lots of tears. But it was good.
So you got a boyfriend now. Don't get married until you're out of college. I will kill you.
Oh my God.
There's no...
Scratch that.
No, I'm not scratching that. No, this is the real part of the podcast, honey. We're not. We're just not getting married until you graduate. So with that being said, what have you learned? What will you take away? How do you intend to implement life lessons that you've learned moving forward?
So lucky for you, I don't want to get married until after I graduate college anyways.
Amen.
But,
holla, woo!
I think for me, I tell people that one of my biggest life goals, nobody plans on getting divorced, but I think my biggest goal is to not be divorced. It's just, I've been through it a few times and it's rough.
Me too. It's high five.
So it's just, which I know, like I said, you don't go into getting married planning on getting divorced, but that would definitely be my number one goal. So I do plan on staying in a relationship for a while before getting married. For me, the key components to a relationship, even though I'm at a young age that I've seen and am trying to implement in my own relationship, is just like trust, loyalty, and I don't know, laughter.
Oh,
that's a different one.
All right.
But I like to laugh and be silly and
Could think I'm your dad. I'm so funny.
haha, he's hilarious. Could you tell that was sarcastic?
We all knew. Thank you. Yes.
But I think that's just for me. Laughter's, like I said, a different one, but I like to be a goofy person, so.
For us, we started this podcast not knowing where to go with it, not knowing what to do. But I think the hope is really that people that are listening find something of value. So not everything we say they're going to agree with, and we're okay with that. And not everything that we do, we agree with. We're trying to get better all the time as well. So, we've been in this for 2.5 to 3 years now. What do you think is something that you would love to see us work on over the next 12 months? What would you like to see the crew work on?
I think we should start to get an allowance. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Hard no. That is a hard no.
I don't know. That's a hard question. Even Nancy looked at me and was like, "Oh God, how are you going to answer this one?"
You guys don't know I'm this deep.
This is not on the script.
You're welcome.
Nancy did not put this on the script.
As we've discussed, I like to keep something unscripted so that I can surprise everyone. So, thinking it through, what is something that you would like to see our family / the crew work on over the next year?
I'm trying not to be funny in my answer because there's so many things I could say. Maybe just we have a really hard time spending quality time together unless we're just all so busy all the time. Like, literally the most quality time we get is probably the week we go on family vacation. To get us all in this, Nancy's talked about this before, I think, in a podcast, to get us all in the same place at the same time, like for more than a few hours, is a very difficult task with 2 college kids, and then Carter's a 4-sport athlete, Chase and Summer and Dane play sports all the time, so it's just definitely hard to get us all together. So just being together more often.
I'm actually very happy that being together more often is one of your things.
Well, then that's what I was going to say, almost the exact same thing. I was thinking about, like, okay, what would be my answer to that question? And for me, it would be that we stick to our Sunday dinner, family dinners, because we did all get together. It was like a Christmas miracle about 2 weeks ago, and we ended up having like a game night. And that was super fun. And that is, that quality time aspect, but it's also challenging to get together. But I love that.
I do love, and we talked about this in another podcast, that our kids do love our vacations together. As Lexi just said, like, they're really good. You guys seem to really...
We do have a lot of fun as a crew. I will say that.
Good.
We went parasailing this summer. That was so fun. I'm terrified of heights, but highly recommend.
Yeah.
That's a great thing to bring up.
Nancy wouldn't do it.
Yeah, well, there was not a spot for me.
Yeah.
But I do think that is the beautiful part of blending a family, is that, like we've mentioned, everybody's got their own dynamic, their own background, their own experiences, but you bring them all together and they challenge each other. Sometimes not in a fun way, but that's a great example when we were on vacation and some were super scared to go parasailing.
I was scared.
Lexi was scared, and because you had a group pressure to go do it, and you knew you had someone right there beside you, your other 2 sisters, Summer was probably more scared than you actually once she was up there. And Lord knows all the bad words that she said at 12.
The pictures were so funny.
The pictures were priceless. But I think then they have shared experiences that they maybe normally wouldn't have done, but they have these outside pressures of real life siblings.
You just go with it, as we've said. You just go with the flow.
Which I'm really bad at. So bad.
So is Angie.
So bad at going with the flow. If anybody who knows me, I do not go with the flow. I live by my planner. My planner is my life.
That's why you and Angie get along so well. Yeah. Only one of us in this room is a flow goer. And that's, it's okay to be either way. I've learned to be a better person because of both of you having a planner. And I think you guys have both loosened up because of not
But even the girls are so different. But like you heard Lexi say, they're close. But Hallie's not a planner. And she's more fly by the seat of her pants. And so they complement each other in a lot of ways, where I feel like Hallie probably encourages Lexi to loosen up, and she's, has less fear of heights. So she was like, we're doing it. Let's go. So they help each other out. And Lexi probably, we laughed about this last night at dinner, probably helped Hallie have a little bit more of a heart and care a little bit more. Maybe be a little bit motherly. I don't know.
She was the Grinch. I don't care.
And then Summer, she brings the makeup and the bougie and helps from a style perspective.
Bougie.
She's what we like to call hillbilly bougie, is actually what we decided that
hillbilly
she is.
bougie.
So.
Uh-huh. Small town girl that is super bougie.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say tonight, babe?
No.
Otherwise, we're wrapping.
Thanks for having me. This will be the best podcast you ever listened to. Just letting you know.
Okay. That is this week. Yeah, that is this week's episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. Thanks so much for listening. We've got lots of kids to talk to, and so that'll continue. And we just hope that throughout the course of this, that you'll find some things that you really do like and can apply. And, sometimes you won't be able to. And hopefully you can help us apply some things to our family. We will see you again next week. Have a great week. Be blessed. And we'll see you on the other side.